Witness one here. So, yeah, all you are is a lab rat and a test subject for the government. Some of you that become homeless, they targeted you right away. Some of you have been targeted, since your birth or whatnot. But like I said, it's getting pretty bad out here. Some days are heavier than others with the gang stalking. Seems like every other day they hit you really hard or whatever. You don't ever know how it's really going to be, But I made this little video here because there's this old lady that's been going to church here. She changed churches. I felt real sorry for her. I talked to her and we prayed together. And her name is Sandy. She's 75 and she's trying to leave this place. She said it's too cold for her. Her husband died maybe 7-8 years ago. And she has been alone since then. And she told me that she wanted to go be with her husband. And I've been coming here for quite a few years, this place, and she's been here the whole time. And she said that the church never come stopped and checked on her. She said the only people that really checked on her were the Mormons. The Mormon boys that came around was always checking on her. So I was like, damn, even the Mormons are better at trying to convert people than... She knew they were a cult too. I told her they were. We've said a prayer of salvation. She had bought a car. She used to ride her bike. She said she needed a car so bad. She found a car. And of course, they took advantage of her and everything in it. And, so I just asking for prayers for Sandy because I think she's going to get out of here. It's too cold for her. She's talking about going down to Vegas or Modesto, California, somewhere where it was a lot warmer and warm all the time. And she mentioned more than once that she wanted to go be with her husband and stuff. So I explained to her about salvation, and she got saved. Said she's going to pray and try to get baptized if she can, but she wants to get out of here. I told her to do it. Between last spring and now, she had gotten a car. She was on a bike. I used to think she was a witch. Every time I would go somewhere and do something, there she would be, man. And sometimes that stuff is the real deal. But it's hard, I noticed when people would get saved and stuff, the church would come scoop them right up. So I saw all my work was getting scooped up by the gang stalking Masons. They watched me so close everywhere I went and everything because they were so scared I was going to get somebody on the right track, that they'd scoop them up and put them in a pew and, give them a bunch of false doctrine. But, that's on them. That's all I could do is go out and do what my job is. And my job isn't necessarily your job, and your job isn't necessarily mine. That's what I've done from the beginning. Those pastors where I was from in Hamilton there, I had 5 of them come to me and said, you can do things in Jesus Christ we could only dream of, Dennis. And they hated my guts ever since. But it was true, I was doing the job of a whole church that the whole church together with 5 pastors including couldn't do. Huge church. And so, makes you a target. The real thing, if you got the real thing in Jesus Christ, you will stand out like a sore thumb. When it comes to ministry work, there ain't no ministry you can't work. Every ministry I ever worked when I was involved with them clowns and churches and stuff, I made them all look crazy. Like they made them question why they were Christians at all. I'd go visit one church and bring in 15 people. Like Native Americans into a strictly Southern Baptist white, everybody's all white in there. See, you don't want to go to a church where it's all one color in there. If you're in a church like that, get away from it. What you want to do is find all kinds of different people in a church. That's how you know it's a real one. So keep your always remember that a church that's got everybody in it might be a good church, but chances are it's not. They're all Masonic. It's like everybody believing in a pre-tribulation rapture. You're a fool to believe that. The scripture's completely clear. Anybody can do any research about John Nelson Darby and find out that he entered the legalistic church of England, introduced that idea, and the Christians liked it, so it was in our roots. It's just a false doctrine. It never existed until the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Seventh-day Adventists and the Mormons and all the cult Christianity in America started popping up, and that's when it popped up. You know, people are stupid. Believing in a once saved, always saved BS. I mean, just ignorance. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of ignorant people out there. You can forfeit your salvation. It ain't once saved, always saved. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Whoever it would say, Jesus said in the scripture, said they would know concerning the doctrine. Look at this. I'm not even getting stalked. That's crazy. That's crazy. What in the hell? Give me a break. You got to be kidding. They were stalking me inside there. Wow. Better enjoy this. This don't happen around this place very often at all. But anyways, yeah, a lot of you guys, even some of you guys that are listening to me, you know, you're learning from the wrong people. You're learning from Masons, and your doctrine is all messed up. I don't care if you unlike me or unsubscribe from me or whatever. I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like it or don't like it. As a matter of fact, I don't even think half of you who are listening to me, I believe more than half of you are just gang stalkers, and the other half of you are just imitator of a form of witchcraft. You're trying to get information off me or whatever, and then use it on your channels. And you know, I don't mind and all that. And then the rest of them are some of my people in my past who are watching, trying to be me. Everybody wants to be you. Yep, they try to imitate you, would be you, do what you do, and think that they can produce the same results, but they can't. Because I'm me. I'm unique. Very unique. Just like you are. You got to find something what's for you, not try to get what I got. People are stupid. And you know, the funny thing about it is everybody likes to say everybody's legalistic and all this stuff, but the fact of the matter is, did you know that every Christian has to go through Romans 1-7 to get to Romans 8, which is the grace of God? That you have to transpire through legalism to get out of legalism to get into the grace of God? You have to go through Romans 1-7, which is the law, and to get to Romans 8, which is the grace of God. Did you know that? Yeah, you got to go all the way through the law to get to grace. And that's what's wrong with the church today, is they're living by the law of Moses. And if you live by the law, you will die by the law. Because there's only two ways to achieve righteousness. And that's by the law of Moses or by the grace of God. And, you know, every Christian has to work their way through it. But the problem is none of them have. None of them have. None of them's got love in their heart. It's all fake love, crocodile tears. I know some pastors that can cry you a tear on command. They'll be like, bend down and pray with you, and then they get up, there'll be tears in their eyes. That's the only tear you get, but they're crocodile tears. They ain't even real. But that's how good of actors they are. Keep that in mind. Love will be genuine and show forth. You know, it won't just be like, hey, how's it going? Good to see you here on Sunday. Give me your money. No. It'll be, it'll come forth in a way that you need it, and you'll know it's real. And it's not there. Sandy was telling me that today, poor old Sandy. So y'all pray for Sandy, because she said she switched churches here and was going to one downtown and she said they're doing the same thing to her down there. Don't even act like she exists. And there she is, 75 years old, a widow, all alone. Got nobody. And I was like, she's like, you're the only one to talk to me all this time. You don't even go to church, blah, 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 here. I said, I know. I said, but now I'll set you an example of what to look for, you know. She's like, no. She'd been coming in here for years. Nobody even talked to her. She'd just sit there and look at her phone, bored. And then she'd go back home. She had nobody at home. Husband's gone. There she was, suffering, trying to find Jesus. But they didn't even take the time to make sure she was saved. So pray for Sandy. Later.